خلقت هذا باطلا سبحانك فقنا عذاب النار آمين. ربنا إنك من تدخل النار فقد أخزيته وما للظالمين من أنصار آمين. ربنا إننا سمعنا مناديا ينادي للإيمان أن آمنوا بربكم فآمنا ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار آمين. ربنا وآتنا ما وعدتنا على رسل
حي يا قيوم على لا إله وكلوا يا حي يا قيوم على لا ọba tí kò pé méjì yá ayò yá Qayyum kò pé méjì kò pé mẹ́ta.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Viewers at home, I have here with me Professor Abd'Afis Oladosu. Professor Oladosu is the Dean, Faculty of Art, University of Ibadan.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Prof will be talking to us regarding a misconception concept we have in the society, and it started handling misconceptions towards Muslims. Prof, we are pleased to have you. Misconception. Prof, how best can Muslims or can individuals approach this concept?
Well, when you say misconceptions, you are hinting at minimum of two different subjects. The first subject is the actor. The second is the acted upon. The first is the, when you say the actor could be a Muslim, it could be a non-Muslim. The acted upon could be Muslims, could be Islam. So when you say handling misconception about Muslims, I'm imagining that we are talking about funny situations. The first of which is that where you have Muslims having misconceptions about Muslims and having misconceptions about Islam. I want to expound upon that by saying that we have instances where we have Muslims who are enemies of Islam, in addition to situations where we have non-Muslims who are perpetual enemies of Islam. Quran chapter 2 verse 120, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَنْ تَرْضَوْا عَنْكَ الْيَهُودُ وَلَا النَّصَارَى حَتَّى تَتَّبِعَ مِلَّتَهُمْ. If a non-Muslim has misconceptions about the Muslims, that could be understood. You may be having the misconception based on a number of arguments.
So that is allowed.
That's what I'm saying. It could be based on ignorance. Somebody who is ignorant, you can't blame him for being ignorant until that time when he becomes knowledgeable. And one of the lessons life has taught me that there are pleasures in being ignorant, the same way there are pleasures in being mad. There are pleasures in being mad which none but the madman knows. And there are pleasures in being ignorant which the ignorant person, the ignoramus, will not know until he becomes knowledgeable. A scholar, his name is Guzuri Jamhir, in a book written by Al-Mawardi titled Adabu Duni wa Dunya, it says that. So if I have misconception about you, I could enjoy the misconception until the time you tell me that Professor Oladosu, you're actually an ignorant person. No? Until then, I will think that I'm the knowledgeable person in the world, because ignorance grants pleasure. And the pleasure there is only the ignorant person that knows it.
Pleasure.
Yeah. So, if you now want to ventilate, want to explore what are the reasons that could lead people to have misconception. One could say maybe the media is a factor today.
The media.
The media thrives on fake news. And we are in a world of fake news today. The media thrives on prejudice some of the time, particularly relating to Islam. You have some people, they still work on this impression that Islam was spread by force. They work on the impression that, and that's why they refer to what they call Islamic terrorism. It's a display of misconception, because you can't collocate terrorism and Islam. The same way you can't say Christian terrorism. We hardly hear about Christian terrorism, for example.
That's true.
Some people derive pleasure in demonizing Islam, in demonizing Muslims, in presenting Muslim as primeval, in presenting Muslim as antediluvian. So they derive pleasure in that. So, and I hold certain section of the media responsible for that.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, so maybe I should stop there.
Yeah. From what you've just alluded, you made us realize that this is interest driven. Like,
yes,
some people derive pleasure in doing this.
Yeah, for reasons known to them. The reason could be pecuniary. Pecuniary in the sense that it's material. When you have certain misconception about, if I have a misconception about you, and I know that my audience wants that misconception, you'll be making money from the misconception. So misconception is a resource from which some people derive benefit. So it's also, misconception could also be a source of power. When people label Islam negatively, they will write books about it. They will publish books about it. They eventually will make millions of money from it. So you will come to Nigeria, misconceptions thrive because it also grants power. Some people derive power in constructing Islam negatively, in painting Muslims negatively. It gives them power because they preside over a congregation of ignoramuses who do not want to understand anything about Islam. So that will give them power because they will constantly be seen as the organ on top. And once the misconception is thrown away, they will come down from the high power they occupy and they become non-entities. And they won't want that kind of situation to occur.
Thank you, Prof.
Yeah.
You actually brought the word out of my mouth because I have something that relates to power.
Okay.
Listed there as something to, one of the areas we should talk about.
Yeah.
A wise man also told me
Yes.
that if Islam wants to thrive, then Islam has to think in the direction of economical power.
Yes.
Prof, what can you talk? What can you say?
Yeah.
How can you relate economic power and that misconception?
Well, this is huge, this is wide, this is big. Wide and big because there are certain powers in the world today. They are the one controlling our world. The powers are the one controlling our world. And we Muslims are not there yet.
We are not there.
We are not there yet. Some of the time you have some semblances of Muslims being there, but when you look at it critically, you discover that it's like a mirage. It's something that appears to be, whereas it's not it. So one of those spheres or locale or spaces of power where Muslims should be, where we are not, I mentioned media. We are not the one. We are not controlling the media in Nigeria.
Are we even in the media? Are we partaker of that sector?
That's to a large extent the opposite. We are not there. A Muslim professor from the South once told me that we the ones controlling the media, and I said, "How do you mean, Prof?" He said, "We are the one controlling channels. We are the one controlling AIT. We are the one controlling this and that.
A raise of
And of recent, TVC became a bride. I sat in my room the other day, my house the other day, and I was listening to the news. This is Ghazal reporting for TMC reporting for NASFAT from Sokoto. This is Wali reporting for NASFAT from Zamfara. This is Abd'Afis reporting for NASFAT from Port Harcourt. This is Jami reporting for NASFAT from Kano. All these people reporting for this NASFAT, none of them was a Muslim that day. So then I became attentive. I said, okay, could that be, why should it be that you are reporting for NASFAT from Kano, you are reporting from NASFAT from Maiduguri, you are reporting from NASFAT and none of you happen to be, even by chance, a Muslim. Then I solaced myself with the reality that he who pays the piper dictates the tune. Why should he pick a Muslim? Because I own the business. Yeah. It's my business. So you can continue to cry your head off. If you want Muslims to be there, establish one. So in other words, NASFAT could also consider expanding, establishing a media house that will be for NASFAT by extension for Muslims. Because if you don't own it, you can't control it. If you are not there, you can't determine what happens there. So the media is one. The second is education. We are not there. So people have misconceptions about Muslims and Islam because some of them are ignoramuses. Some of them are enlightened ignoramuses. They are enlightened because they have PhDs. They are well learned. They are elite. But the misconception of thousands of years ago are still in their head. They still believe that Islam is not meant for the 21st century. So we need to be there. We need to be involved in the education sector. When I talk about that, I'm addressing the reality. Consider the number of universities we have in Nigeria today. About 174 universities, both public and private. The private universities we have in Nigeria today is nothing less than 74 private universities. So aside from Fountain, aside from Summit, aside from Al-Qalam, aside from, and then when I got to Al-Qalam, then I began to pause in order to browse how many are the Muslim universities we have. So the maximum number that you could hazard, as a guess that you could hazard, is to say maybe we have about 10 universities or 15 universities
that are Islamic,
that are Muslim, not Islamic. Muslim, not Islamic. Muslim because established by Muslims. Islamic because they follow the strict Islamic code.
The doctrines.
Whereas these are business outfits. Once you establish a university, except for NASFAT. So one could say